Frank and Open Discussion is a Grundy television production. This has been John Deeks speaking. Frank and Open Discussion. Frank and Open Discussion. On this very special episode of Frank and Open Discussion, we look behind the scenes of Frankenfido's first single, Turn Out the Light. You'll hear outtakes, intakes, and future takes for the planned 20-minute album version. But first, the track itself, Turn Out the Light. Welcome to Frank and Open Discussion. Today we are talking about the very first Frankenfido single, which is called Turn Out the Light. So let us introduce ourselves.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Ben. I sit in the middle.
Yeah, and I'm Dean.
The Red Simons of Frank and Open Discussion, as once described.
Well, so Turn Out the Light.
So we've just listened to it. So it's at the beginning of the podcast. So the punters have heard it now.
So I believe Turn Out the Light came from was it the second jam that we did? third jam.
It was Jam 3.
Jam 3.
And possibly we can put in a bit of that right now.
Here it is.
And there it was.
The original
Wow,
jam.
that was.
See
that
where
was
it all
good.
began?
That brought back a flood of memories.
Yeah, so I think the gist of it was we go like, oh, let's have a song like about like death and so we did this like heartbeat sort of off kilter drum beat.
Well, that
thing.
was it, right? So
Yeah,
it
that was the
started off.
starter.
Let's do a song about somebody's heart stopping,
Yep.
and that started the riff. Don't know, as I recall.
Yeah, something like that.
It actually started like that.
Da-da.
It definitely was off the beat. However, it was don't know when you weren't expecting it.
And so then we went off there. And, like, I remember that the bass was, like, all of the elements of that song came together very quickly, right? So the bass, like, the weird sort of off bass thing.
That is a very Jeff bass line.
Was it? He just didn't know what key we were playing in and he just did something else.
He didn't care what key we were playing in. But yes, I think Jeff kind of assumed that the real bass part was taken care of. And then Jeff did a what is that? The Monsters.
Yeah, basically da 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 da. Just one note,
Yeah.
one step up, one step up, one step up,
Yeah.
one step down. Easy.
And that
Easy
was
peasy.
it was not
It just fit.
it was not necessarily in the same key.
And then Malcolm added in this sort of piano riff that we ended up adapting into the chorus. What's this all there?
That
There's all the elements
that
in the
was
first little
that
bit.
was Malcolm's. But he doesn't remember.
That's all.
So the bit that Ben and I added was the do. That wasn't in the original.
Okay, so you add a word, you
Yeah,
take
we
a third.
workshopped it.
So I mean, we vastly improved what Malcolm came up with that day. So we in our generosity, we still credit him.
Yeah, so then as we were putting that song together, I recall Ben said, I hear this like, turn out the light. That's what he said, do, turn out the light. I can hear people going, turn out the light.
Yeah,
That's how that bit came in.
that's right. I wrote some words.
You did. You wrote those words.
I remember that in that jam. I thought it was a surf song.
Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of that.
Because when I hear it, do, and that's a
stuff,
surf riff. Do.
I thought it sounded more King Crimson-y.
Well, some of that,
This is
It sounded a
what
bit like Sleepless.
some of that survives.
this is what makes Frankenfido.
Is that? Yeah. So some of that survives a little bit in some of the guitar, right? It's like the whammy bar stuff.
It's not very surfy anymore.
No.
I mean, it
But
could be.
it's a hint.
It could be.
nod-
There could
nod
be.
to it there.
There could be a surf version.
So we open up with that initial bit, and then it's like very kind of weirdy, like off kilter, and then the vocoder was like, because we couldn't really come up with a way to like.
It had to be a vocoder.
It had to be because I don't think we could just like the normal like singing didn't work so well. Because he
we
did
didn't
record
try
a
it.
version.
I don't
didn't
know
we?
if we tried it.
I thought we did maybe record
Possibly. I just remember it had to be a vocoder.
something. Yeah.
Possibly I wanted something, inhuman is what I wanted. So it was turn out the light. There was this talk about the word heartless came up.
Yep.
And so inhuman robot singing. Also, obviously, a nod to the Buggles.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Do they even use a vocoder?
In Video
In
Kill
Video
the Radio
Kill.
Star, they do.
Well, do they actually
could've been-
in the real version? They've got all the female backing singers, right?
You're thinking of I Am a Camera, which the Buggles also did. And they used a vocoder in that.
Yes, but I'm less
drama,
I'm less
Yes is
aware
drama.
of. Yeah, no, it was obviously.
That's probably what you're thinking of. The Buggles then became the keyboardist and vocalist in Yes, and they used a vocoder in the song I Am a
Well,
Camera.
actually, I tell you
And
what.
It might have been on the original version as well, as done by the Buggles.
I mean, it was
was it done
obviously
later?
a nod to Jeff Downes,
Obviously.
but at the same time, it was a nod to Regurgitator, right? I like your old stuff better than your new stuff, which itself was a nod to the Buggles.
Was that a vocoder in that?
Yeah, Yeah, have a listen to
I
it.
like your old stuff.
In the verse.
Well, I'd say the interesting. I was interested, Ben, because you spent a lot of time trying to get the vocoder legible. What's the tips for vocoder?
Well, the tip to making the vocoder legible is to have the vocoder illegible at the beginning. So you've got something to work with.
Okay.
So on its own, it sounded great. It sounded fine and very grungy, but in the mix, very, very hard.
Yeah.
And actually, the pronunciation, the enunciation of the words had to be over the top so you could actually hear it. So it was, what are the lyrics?
Every day.
Yeah, it was like,
Every breath.
every day, every breath fades faster now, look away, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
So if you actually hear the track, maybe I can dig this up.
Dreams dissolving through the years, lust and pride always come before the fall, dead inside. The heartless feel no pain at all.
Jeff wrote the lyrics.
Jeff wrote lyrics because he hated any of the lyrics anyone else
He
came
did.
up
We
with.
all came. Like I wrote some lyrics for that. I had a different take on it.
Well, actually, I remember we had great arguments on what the melody would be for the verse.
Yes. I think you ended up going with my melody though.
I think we did. I think that was yours. Jeff conceded that your melody was the one to go with.
I didn't come up with any melody.
I had an absolutely freaking
Yours
awesome
was
melody.
da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I had came up with the 80s montage melody you guys
Oh,
called it.
montage. That's right.
And I thought it was awesome.
Montage.
You
It was very montage.
And I th-
It was very montage.
I can't remember that, and there's probably a good reason for it.
Well, you vehemently disagreed with it,
You
and
said
I've
no
never
to
forgotten
montage.
and never forgotten.
Maybe you've still got that. We could put a bit of that on for the viewers. Let them know.
No, I'm saving that for another song.
Right.
Perhaps a solo project.
We
We
did
shan't
have.
be working together again.
There is an Easter egg there in the lyrics that remains where it was a little argument
Oh,
about
point of contention.
Point of contention.
No, I had these lyrics. They
All
were
right,
submitted lyrics.
they had to
and then-
rhyme.
So
And they rhymed, and
so
then
we-
you guys went and changed
So
them.
there was a line darker than my soul, but the thing that came before that was something different. What was that? Like a feeling never felt. And
I
so-
originally had Darker Than My Soul, which I thought was obviously made sense in the overall
so it didn't rhyme.
theme.
Yeah.
But Darker Than Myself made it sound like, you've got more melanin than me.
So
Jeff wanted soul. It didn't rhyme with whatever word. So let's say it was elf.
felt.
Like a feeling never elf. And then we needed something to rhyme with elf, so clearly never darker than myself.
Yeah.
But,
But-
I had
You had a
I
soul.
had two lines that rhymed, and Baby said, I don't like that last line. So he changed those two lines so
We
they
changed-
rhymed, the second
yeah.
and the fourth. And then we came back and listened to it, and I said, no, I don't like Darker Than Myself. Change it back to the original lyric, Darker Than My Soul. But we forgot to change the second line, so
Well,
it didn't rhyme anymore.
I don't think anyone noticed or cared, really, apart from us.
Well, I think that is probably the only reason that song never took off in the charts.
Yeah.
Leave no mark, like a feeling never felt. Night so dark, but never darker than my soul.
There's a lesson in that.
Listen, is that...
Never change my lyrics.
Yep.
I am right, you are wrong, the end.
Well, no, in the end, the song suffered. Frankenfido was
The
the
audience
loser.
suffered. I let myself down, I let my bandmates down, I let Australia down.
So we get,
Controversy aside.
we get the chorus. So
Oh, hang on, we got a good verse, we got a good melody, it's vocoded, we agreed on Dean's melody, Jeff's lyrics,
Mostly.
my vocoder. My melody went out the door, unfortunately, because it would have actually made the song a lot better.
okay. But then we go to
Chorus.
the chorus. So Ben and I came up with I remember we listened to that. We were listening to it, and we had that. It was on piano. That riff that Malcolm came up with, and we go, "That's good." And we just add a little bit here, and I think I don't know where you came up with the chords somehow in the chorus. I don't know where that came from. I don't think that was
Came
in the
from
original song.
A Forest by The Cure.
Oh, actually, I'll tell you where they came from. They came from Spy in the Sky, Part 2.
Oh, wow.
Which came from A Forest by The Cure.
Is that the one that goes?
I've never listened to a Forest by the Cure. Oh, that.
We could do this a cappella. We could have a new career.
Anyway, it's a common progression.
The Cure a cappella. I don't think it's ever been done.
It's not an uncommon progression, shall we say?
No.
The first three chords, you go listen to Spy in the Sky Part 2. First three chords are the same.
So
that's the one that comes before Part 1.
You know, there's only
like any good lover.
There's only like 7 normal chords in it anyway. So like the fact that it's
Closer.
3 the same as another song is hardly cause for celebration.
Or hardly chords for celebration.
So very
or
good.
cause for legal remedy.
So in this bit here, I feel
you cannot copyright a chord progression.
I feel like in this bit here, you should put a bit from the instrumental version, because like I loved, because originally when we did this song, it was all instrumental, right? Like, so we had I think we had the turn out light. No, maybe we didn't even have that. But I just love the sound of the synths in the chorus, playing that melody. So I reckon in this bit you should just play a little bit of that, because we do have an instrumental version of that somewhere.
Well, I remember thinking that we could all be a complete instrumental band.
We could.
And I remember thinking
the
that.
Shadows.
Well, I remember thinking that specifically because that's what Phil thought when Peter Gabriel left, right? And they're doing Trick of the Tail, and Phil said, "That's all right. We'll just carry on and be an instrumental band."
Yeah, I think the beard was affecting his judgment at the time.
So, all right, this is good. There's been no podcast yet in which we've failed to mention Phil Collins.
Oh, look, I love Phil. Yeah, that'll be our gimmick. Every podcast we mention, we disparage Phil Collins in some way.
And then we redeem
him. Yes. Anyway, something about the chorus, Dean.
Yeah, chorus. Your lyrics in the chorus were very good.
But
and I thought it was I
can
thought
hear
it
a
was
but
good.
coming.
No, there's no but.
No but.
They were very dark and very depressing. And I felt the music was somewhat uplifting, so that was a good combination.
And so that's how that happened. And then Ben,
We had to work. You had to work in the word "turn out the light."
I think that was my job requirement.
It was, because we already had "turn out the light." No, and you had to work that into the chorus somehow, and lo and behold, you did.
I did. I think I did a good job. I think I nailed it.
You did a good job.
But I did a good job.
it ends up being like this kind of very almost creepy.
Very
song.
Edgar
I actually
Allan
reckon
Poe.
it would be a good Halloween song, right?
Well, it's meant to be. Turn out the light. I don't know how you guys interpret it, but to me it sounds like, I'm about to die. Turn out the light.
Well, look, now you're blowing the whole mystery, right?
It's a mystery.
That's what the whole lyrics are about.
You're telling me that "turn that light" is an allusion to death?
It could be.
Oh, no.
So
Never been done before.
After the first chorus, there's this breakdown, Led Zeppelin breakdown section.
Oh, yes, the Led Zeppelin.
Which is completely a Ben Craven creation, I seem to recall. Drums, everything that you
It's
just
a mix of Zeppelin and disco.
You just chuck that in.
It is.
Whole lot of love
It's
meets
twice.
disco.
It's twice as long in reality, but I cut out half.
You cut out half.
In fact, those verses were twice as long originally.
That's true.
And I cut them down.
Try and fit in.
So to fit it down to whatever X minutes. However, there is a extended version, but we'll talk about that later.
And originally that then went into this kind of reggae bit, which
yes.
I love that bit. And there's
we
actually
had an instrumental reggae section.
There's a bit of
So
a
we
recording
can-
of us jamming on the tubes to that part of the song.
Oh, that's that one.
Yes, that's a little bit of that. But
It's
it's
a snippet.
All right. So
It's called a snippet.
how do I
play a bit right now? Here it is.
unfortunately we had to cut that bit out.
Well, no, okay.
Well, I
It's
mean,
cut
it's
out,
sort of,
but
but we repurposed it into the disco bit, right? So like that's where a bit of that ended up. 'Cause,
Oh,
like, I think
it moves into the disco bit, but I wouldn't say it's repurposed. I think it's there, waiting for the 10 to 20 minute
The long
album
version,
version of
yeah.
Turn Out the Light.
because it was a good, because it gets into this like good groove where you can just sit there and like put some guitar solos in and stuff like that.
Well, to me, it's quite Floydian. That
It
bit.
is.
That is very Floyd.
It is.
And
I
that's
like
a
that
good
bit.
thing.
But then again, Floyd never did reggae. So how do we say Floyd and
Floyd
reggae?
did do reggae.
Well, I
Delicate
mean, it
Sound of
wasn't-
Thunder, Money in the
When
middle
we're
section.
saying it's reggae,
It's
I mean,
not reggae.
It's just a bit of a.
They're the 80s Floyd. I don't really listen to that.
Yeah, that's the best Floyd.
No, it isn't.
Well, we agree to disagree.
That's objectively.
No, I don't agree with that.
That's objectively wrong.
Yeah, anyway, so I've got to say that, yes, that section is earmarked. In fact, on top of that, I don't know if it was jam number 3 or a later jam, but I think it could have been jam number 3 where we did a freeform psychedelic section.
Oh yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And that
indeed.
is earmarked for the super long version of Turn Out the Light.
Yeah, I think there was quite a few jams later. But anyway, yeah.
It
But
was.
it is so good.
It is good.
In fact,
But I don't think it was planned that way. It was like we're doing this psychedelic thing, and then
Yeah, but
I
it
started
works.
playing the bass line.
is that what happened?
Da 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 da. Or the melody of the chorus
That
on the
must have
bass.
been right, 'cause we're not very creative.
Well, no, it is creative because I could hear this song, this jam. I said, you know what? I can hear a bit of that
Right.
thing in the background. I started
Jeff can
playing
hear
it,
things, people. He's not in his meds.
and I thought this could be obviously
The voices were telling
an
him.
introduction.
So-
So my artistic muse was.
Well, and somehow I don't know, somehow we got the idea that this psychedelic section, and it will work. I've tested it in my brain, it'll work.
So second verse. So you did this like sparkly guitar effect, but I didn't know that it got like had to get pushed down in the mix because you like was too busy. I seem to recall. It was really really good in the instrumental.
Yeah, it was a nice sparkly guitar.
It'll be, yeah, I mean, the problem was having words and vocals.
Yeah.
I tried putting it in the remix as well. It just didn't work on top of all the other guitar bits. that were
How
there.
did you achieve that effect?
I don't even remember what you're talking about.
When you're playing the guitar, and then it's like sort of breaks up and goes all kind of sparkly.
yes, that thing.
Yes.
That's right. So
It's fantastic.
that's a and the chord holds, and there's a massive tremolo bar, whammy bar, whatever you call
Yeah.
it, section. Lots of delay, lots of dirty 80s word chorus.
It sounded very frippish, I thought.
I
like
understand that. So
it was a shame. It was a shame to realise he
Or
couldn't
maybe more
like
Ballou.
get it
more
in.
Adrian Ballou.
You couldn't
than Fripp.
get that in a layer somewhere
it
in
was
there.
it
because
was
it's too busy.
Ballou's wild energy in a Fripp context.
Let's just say there's a lot of stuff buried in the mix,
There's a lot of stuff buried in the mix.
which, in typical Ben Craven fashion, it was throw everything in the mix and then try to find some balance and then some
No,
stuff.
Well,
you
I-
throw
well,
everything in the
actually,
mix and then you sculpt. So it's a sculptor. You take away the bits. You kill your children.
Well, actually, speaking of that, I forgot to mention in the chorus the theremin that you added, and also
Yeah, there is a theremin.
the hand claps. That
That were mine. I imagined the hordes, the masses in the audience, and they were. That's what I wanted. I wanted everyone.
and then the just before the end, my addition, the do where the drum stopped. I said I was very insistent on
Oh,
that
that was
bit.
it. You wanted it. You wanted it to die. Like
I wanted just before the second chorus. I think that works really well. It's probably the highlight
It's
of the song
artistically valid.
for me.
it's not without its charm.
Second chorus is more or less the same, but then we go into that whole disco bit at the end. Now,
Yeah.
There's a
talk
lot
to
of
us.
samples in the back.
I love
Talk
that.
to us about the samples that you put in that. Something
about a
across
mental
something
asylum?
mind.
That's exactly
dark
what I was
shadows
looking
across
for.
the something mind.
Yeah, it was. Clearly, it was a paranoid mental patient.
I should remember because it's all the way through the remix. I take that sample and just play it over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's a mental patient and the doctor is the So in one channel you've got the patient. Oh, they're coming to get me. Whatever it is, they're out there. And then the doctor's on the other channel saying, no, this is definitely a condition. Blah blah blah.
And you got the panning guitar. That's
Yes.
like very effective in the surround version.
It's a whole lot of love,
Little
yep.
plug. You can find that somewhere.
The 5.1 mix.
The 5.1
Well,
mix.
I think it's worthy of a 5.1 remix at this point.
Oh. Yes, that's a good bit, the disco bit. And
I love the disco bit. It's
I love
got the never-ending chord progression that just
Yeah.
continues upwards and upwards and upwards.
and it has that arpeggiated bass
Oh,
that comes
yes,
in.
the disco bass.
And I remember us having a discussion about, like, we've got to make that louder, and it gets louder and louder and louder and louder, and it comes this big crescendo right at the end.
that bass is straight out of I Feel Love by Donna Summer.
Oh, yeah.
Or possibly even Sylvester, You Make Me Feel. You know, it's an homage to those
An homage.
Well, it's
songs.
just a generic disco bass line, right?
No,
Yes,
no,
the disco bit. No noodling, Jeff.
No,
It's
no,
banned.
Jeff, put your noodle down.
It's
Yeah,
banned.
we know what you mean.
All right, this is demonstrating for our audience. Is that the singular of audience?
Your mum.
Hey, I listen to our podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad someone does. So at this point in proceedings in the song, I remark, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in there.
Yes. Yeah.
There's so
And
much
if
going
Ben
on.
Craven says there's too much going on in the song.
I didn't
you know
say
you've
too
got
much.
A problem.
I didn't say too much. I said there's a lot going on, and
There's a lot going
we're
on.
only at 3.5 minutes. Yet there's enough there to digest for a lifetime.
Exactly.
It'll keep you thinking. Long after you've heard it, you'll think about it again. You know what?
I
There
want
is-
that three and
there
a
is-
half minutes back is what you'll be thinking.
I don't know how many guitars are, how many guitar tracks are on that song. When
I
you
know
gave me
exactly.
the stems, it's like, okay, there's this guitar bit, there's that guitar bit, there's that guitar bit. You know, this guitar bit, I just took all the guitar bits and looped them and said, you know, these are really good by themselves, and you can't hear them in the original mix. They're just buried so deep. But all these separate guitar parts are really cool. I was like, okay, this is very Crimson-y, Talking Heads-ish kind of guitar line. I want more of it, more.
Together, those parts build up texture.
They're happy
You
together.
may not hear the parts on their own, but when you take them away, you know, oh shit, there's something
They're
missing.
subliminal.
So together, those 17 guitar parts form a single guitar part, for instance.
It's like an image made of 65,000 colours. You can't want to remove just one. It won't be the same.
So another thing that's worth talking about is the excellent video which you edited using archival footage.
That was born out of financial
Necessity.
necessity.
It goes pretty well. So was it like an anti-smoking?
I think it
thing?
originally was an anti-smoking public service government video that is now in the public domain.
Has this evil little cancer
think.
figure?
It's absolutely it's in the public domain and
We hope.
recut to match the music.
That was great. It was fantastic.
It was either that or a video of ourselves miming. And in fact, I think I even started. We started
You did
editing all
start,
those.
and I was like, "That's a terrible idea."
I always
liked
think our
it.
videos should have a combination of both animation and the band.
That's true. We could do that for the
playing.
next
I don't
one.
think we were dressed though. It was the middle of summer. I was wearing shorts.
We were nude?
You could see my knees.
Not that there's anything wrong with your knees.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that though. Or do they?
Or do they? We haven't tested this out.
Write it and tell us.
No wonder our audience numbers might double.
I think you did an excellent job with the video. I particularly liked the bit in, I think it's in the disco section
Where
when
they
they're
start marching.
When they start marching,
They're marching in time, yes,
That's
that's-
fantastic. I love it.
Oh, so let's put a link to the video.
And then all the,
Everything's all in sync.
nails in the coffin at the end. That bit, that's really good too. You just did, it was just magic.
I like the little villain who puts the
Yeah.
tape across his
Yeah,
mouth.
There's nothing.
yeah, a little, that's cool.
He's my favourite character of all time, probably.
Yeah, so it was very, very fortunate to find that footage and turn it into a video that no one has watched.
I think it's got some watches, hasn't it?
On the
On the
wall.
wall.
Boom. There you go. That's
Segue.
it. Segue.
One thing we haven't touched on is Ken's vocals.
Ken recorded some vocals.
We brought Ken in to Ken sing this chorus.
I think we like just literally sat him down and you did it all in about 15 minutes.
I think he nailed it.
I think he did nail it. I remember that had I recorded the chorus, I would not have deviated from the melody.
Yes.
I never would have done
This
that.
is the thing that Ken brings. Hey, Ken, do this. And he does something else.
Ken
In
did a
good
few
way.
variations
In a
of the
good way.
chorus, right?
He's the David Leonard of vocalists.
He went over
That'll
the
get cut
top.
out. No one knows who David is.
Went over the top, and we've got 4 choruses. We need to build up to Ken literally screaming his tits off.
There's nowhere to run to, there's nowhere to hide away. Shadows creeping in the night. There's no one to help me, there's no one to save the day when they come. Turn out the light.
Great. Yeah, it was good, and
Yes.
it is very good. Like that last chorus is particularly good.
So the verse is Ben, but the chorus is Ken.
So the thing about Ken though is again his delivery reminded me of Ivor Davies. There was a bit of
No promise.
There was a bit of "We can get together." That's why Ken's vocal was treated to sound as if it was coming through the radio.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever listen to "We Can Get Together," it's all the low end is cut out of Ivor Davies' vocal. I feel that
Crazy.
Ken's accent lends itself towards an Ivor Davies delivery.
There you go.
So another mystery explained that no one asked for.
My contribution to that, and Jeff as well, was the backing vocals, which
yes.
I don't recall doing the backing vocals.
Yeah, I remember you quoting that. Well, you're all on there. Like
gonna
you
build
can
up to it
you
and I
can you
stopped.
can hear it if you listen hard.
You did scream and almost destroy the expensive condenser mic, as I recall, Jeff.
I remember
a
you
bit of a
going,
screamer.
I'm going to really go for it in this one, and then you just you chickened out halfway through.
If I don't feel it's going to work, I don't do it.
Jeff's attitude to
Intrinsically, I'm
life.
thinking this isn't going to work. It's not artistically valid.
So you've already decided before you try it.
I compiled it in my brain.
Don't try, you can't fail.
Only a musician knows the feeling.
So
What are we doing
sadly,
writing these songs? We should be writing Christmas songs.
All right, so that's Turn Out the Light,
do yourself a favour.
available at all good physical record stores
And Bandcamp.
and Bandcamp.
Actually, none of the physical record stores. Here it is. Turn out the light.
Again.
There it is. Turn out the light.